We're going to continue to listen in. It's already been a very wide-ranging series of questions for the President of the United States, and reiterating some of the things that we've heard from him many times before, including talking about D.C. and the federal takeover of the D.C. police because of what he believes is a crime-ridden city, which statistics do not support. The DOJ published a report in January. It's been said many times, violent crime in the nation's capital is at a 30-year low. But he said that he will make Washington essentially crime-free. He was there, and you see the sign behind him, at the Kennedy Center to announce the new Kennedy Center honorees. He says he will host that program, something he didn't want to do, but that Susie Wiles, his chief of staff, convinced him he should do. And that is just the start. As we speak, the White House is also ordering a far-reaching review of 8 Smithsonian museums. Those are visited collectively by nearly 14 million people just last year, many of them school groups. Over the next 120 days, staff is going to have to review exhibition texts, online content, exhibition planning, artist grants. All of it part of the latest attempt to erase what the Trump administration calls a corrosive and divisive race-based ideology by keeping only exhibits and material that align with the administration's version of the American story. I want to bring in NBC's Jonathan Allen in Washington. Eugene Robinson is a Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist. Peter Baker is chief White House correspondent for the New York Times. Both Eugene and Peter are MSNBC political analysts. Peter, I want to get to this remaking of American history, the arts, in a minute. But we did get a little bit, I think, of news information there. He said that the calls that they had today, which included European leaders, President Zelensky of Ukraine, the president, the vice president, at least that's the list that went out, were a 10. He called the calls a 10. He said this weekend's meeting is going to be the first. Friday's meeting with him and Vladimir Putin in Alaska will be the first meeting, and we'll see if a second meeting takes place. What do you read into all of what we just heard about this attempt to bring peace to Ukraine?
Well, I think he's downplaying expectations a little bit, right? He's saying now this is just a first meeting. We'll see where it goes. And he doesn't want there to be stories saying that he failed to make peace at this high stakes summit. But it's worth remembering this is a high stakes summit. It is a high profile summit. Vladimir Putin has not been invited to the United States other than the United Nations headquarters and has not been here since 2007. And here, this president has invited him, even though Putin is, faces an international arrest warrant as a war criminal, even though he's been sanctioned by the United States. He's invited him to the United States soil, including, in fact, to a United States military base. So that raises the stakes for a summit that he is now trying to play down as just a listening session to see where it might go.
Yeah. Okay, Eugene, let's talk about where he is now and this overall administration push to remake the arts, remake museums. I want to ask you about the executive order that paved the way for the Smithsonian review. The administration calls it restoring truth and sanity to American history. What do you see happening here?
I see an attempt to rewrite American history, to sanitize American history, and to take out the bad parts, the sad parts, the parts that cut against the overall grain of American history, which has been, over time, expanding the definition, expanding the coverage of Thomas Jefferson's famous phrase, all men are created equal. It's been a series of struggle to expand the rights given in the Bill of Rights to all Americans, and because all Americans were not included at the beginning, and that history is that history. It is not going to change regardless of whether this president and some of his aides take objection to its full discussion in our museums.
Peter, the statement from the White House says in part that the Smithsonian museums and exhibits should be accurate, patriotic, and enlightening, ensuring they remain places of learning, wonder, and national pride for generations to come. You've written about the president's war on facts. Is this another example if what's accurate, patriotic, and enlightening is whatever the president says it is?
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was in Russia as a correspondent. There's a phrase there that they use in Russia. They say the future is certain. It's the past that's unpredictable. Because, in fact, regimes in places like Russia rewrite history in order to suit their current political needs. Now, look, there has been this cyclical fight in the United States about how to define American history. Certainly, there are people out there, particularly people who support the president, who think that the revisions to American history to bring to light things that were less savory about our past, including the things that Gene's just talking about, had gone so far that we've lost sight of the things that make America special. And there is this push and pull among scholars, among people who are serious about this. But when it's the president of the United States dictating what the history should be, that, of course, brings to mind a different kind of history, a history of the kinds of countries where politicians are deciding what people should know rather than, historians and experts. And if you put this together with a president who's now planning to personally host the Kennedy Center honors, who's determining what kind of culture should be showcased himself personally, who is now sending American troops into the streets of Washington. All of these things together, hearken to a lot of people to the kind of countries that Vladimir Putin would feel very comfortable in. And that, I think, is what's disturbing to many Americans, is it doesn't feel like, a president who is following the traditions that his predecessors over these 250 years have followed.
And we should note, Eugene, that your late wife, Avis Collins Robinson, has a piece at the National Museum of African American History. It's a quilt. It's titled Sharecropper's Masterpiece, part of an exhibition entitled Reckoning, Protest, Defiance, Resilience, which looks at the ways in which visual art provided its own protest, commentary, escape, and perspective for African Americans. Your wife's voice, the voices of countless others represented in these museums. Do you think they're in danger of being essentially erased?
I do, and I think that is tragic and is self-defeating. Avis was also a collector of African American historical documents and artifacts, and there are a number of artifacts on display at that museum that we donated, and the purpose, of course, is to tell the full story of America, the full story of this country, which is a great country, but no country goes in a straight line toward glory. Our history is complicated and rich, and it should all be acknowledged and recognized and represented. But, two quick things. Number one, the Smithsonian, all the Smithsonian museums are relatively conservative institutions in terms of, the historiography, in terms of arts. They're not on the cutting edge. They're not avant-garde in terms of the complications of American history. They're pretty patriotic in every sense. So if they're honest, they're not going to find a whole lot to correct. And second, this history will not go away, no matter what the Trump administration does in the short term to exhibits at the museums. You don't change the past. You don't really change it, and this history is known, and you can't take that knowledge away. And so it will be back if it's taken away. It's just ridiculous that he's going through this exercise to satisfy his own sort of Pollyanna-ish version of American history.